Let me close this down. Close this down. We don't need that. Close that down. Oh, righty then. Such a. I think I can drop this down a bit so we can see you guys more. That's too bad we couldn't get too many more people. Welcome, guys. We have just got online here, and we've got New Eden Police Force with us. They are a faction warfare corporation, specifically for the Kaldari state at the moment. I don't know if there's ever going to be a switch, hopefully not. But we do have the CEO or founder, actually, founder of New Eden Police Force. And we also have another member, which, if your status, Abby, is. Perfect. By the way, I'm going to be using my accent here. I was supposed to use an intro, but that's what we're doing now. Um, so I noticed that you guys joined Faction Warfare. Um, I'm not sure how recently you guys got into Faction Warfare, or if in general this corporation was something that got started and like right away jumped into Faction Warfare. Is that something you guys did, or was New Eden Police Force something before joining Faction Warfare for the Kaldari State? Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Oh, shit. One moment, sorry to cut you off. Apparently we don't hear any voices. Oh, fuck me.
No.
Of course, I had the Discord thing muted. I apologize. We're talking to New Eden Police Force. We're just talking briefly right now about their history of how they got started, and I appreciate you letting me know that. I apologize, guys. I thought we were on a live feed there for a minute.
No worries.
So
I'll repeat
we
the
can
last
do it.
6 hours.
Yeah,
We
we'll
can
just
do
6 hours into this one. No, yeah, we'll just get a quick rerun again. Sorry about
but
New
maybe
Eden
we can
Police Force.
introduce ourselves as well. Like,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
too. So
sure,
let's.
sure.
Yeah, sorry
Go ahead, Abby.
guys. Abby, or we'll start with Fire, and then we'll go with you, Abby.
yeah,
Introduce
that's fine.
yourselves.
All right. Well, hello guys. I'm Far Venom, and yeah, I'm actually the creator of the NPF, the New Eden Police Force, and you can call myself as well the CEO, even though it might not be on paper. And yeah, happy to be here. So all yours, Abby.
Yeah, and I'm Abby Aurelian. I am one of the, I guess, co-leaders of New Union Police Force. How long? I've been playing this game since 2018. Done a little bit of everything: nullsec, exploration, wormholes, high sec with NEPF, and now faction warfare. So yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome, and welcome, guys. We were trying to get obviously more pilots with you guys, and hopefully, maybe through the middle of this conversation, we'll hopefully get some of them popping in here, which would be great. We can still kind of fit them into it. But I was going on to my next question is, what is the background behind New Eden Police Force?
Mm, all right, I think I'll take that. The background, when it was created, it came out of the idea of countering what was happening in high sec about all the suicide ganking. And have a past on all space and low sec and pirating myself. And I realized that there was nobody really organized doing like the anti ganking. There were some anti gankers, but quite individual here and there, at least when I came back after my break and decided to go to high sec, see what was happening for the first time, basically ever. And and yeah, I realized that there was room for catching gankers and trying to stop gangs and catching criminals that were, reshipping and in high sec and all that, and that was pretty successful. I mean, once we opened the idea, the corporation grew pretty fast, and yeah, we actually give them quite a hard time, especially to those under -5 that usually docked in Jita and reship without an issue. Suddenly, we started giving them quite a big issues, and that what there's quite a lot of content, and with all the ganking going on, that that gives us quite a lot of anti-ganking to do. Mechanically wise, CCP never really put that much attention, or actually made it very hard to be anti-ganker and succeed properly.
Hmm.
Uh, did it plenty of times, but it's far easier to gank than to anti-gank
Yeah.
mechanic wise, and and that made it very very interesting, the thing that we were doing. But this is actually the background of the corporation. It started because of that, of getting like the counterpart of the gankers or the bad guys. We created like the good guys.
Yeah, wicked. I actually like that. Yeah, if you guys don't know, obviously, like I said, it's New Eden Police Force, hence the anti-ganking, and they have a corporation here that's actually in faction warfare. So if you can give us a little bit of history of like what made you guys decide, hey, let's join Caldari State and do some faction warfare together.
Can I?
You want to go on that?
I can do a little bit of it.
Yep,
So
go
yeah,
on.
we did a lot of the high sec stuff, and that was pretty fun. But we saw, I guess, decline in criminal activity, and with the decline in criminals, the decline in our way of hunting them also happened, right? So even before this decline, we also did usual, roams into low sec, roams into null sec, for regular PvP, but not as members of Faction Warfare. But with this decline, we thought, hey, this would be a great time to actually see what it is to actually enlist in Faction Warfare, to fight for the state, to fight for the Kaldari. We used to live in Jita, so it was a perfect fit, and it gave even more purpose. So now we're hunting criminals and pirates in Faction Warfare, and as well Galente Faction Warfare targets. So content essentially is the short answer. Unless you want to add anything else, Fire?
Well, that was basically it. I mean,
Yeah.
they had this change in patch where
Yeah.
gankers couldn't gank anymore in high sec unless they were Omega, and that actually dropped a lot. The ganking community suddenly they dropped, and that it made that we lacked actually content, and without content, then there's no point of playing. So that's how it came from.
Okay, great. And just before we get further into the conversation with the faction warfare stuff in the corporation, this is just a little history behind Abby, like how you got started in Eve and what made you join New Eden Police Force.
Oh yeah. Sure, I didn't mention it quickly, but that was, I guess, before. I started in 2018. I started out as an alpha doing exploration, moved into nullsec because people said, hey, nullsec is where you're supposed to be. Some people said that, and did that for a year maybe, made some money, and then I had a stint in wormholes as well, and got a bit burned out. But realized, hey, I've tried nullsec, I've tried a bit of wormholes, I've never tried. I'm gonna try low sec or high sec next. I thought to myself, and I looked for a corp. And hey, I found NEPF. I think I just found it to the regular in-game corporation. What do you call it? Advertisement. But yeah, it sounded interesting. It definitely was a unique style. As a lot of people in nullsec, which I was in for a while, said, oh, the game is in nullsec. If you're not in nullsec, you're not playing the game right. That was what some people said, and they said highsec is just a way to get to nullsec. And then to me, seeing a corp was like, wait, hold on a minute. These guys are killing people in highsec like daily, or more, like a lot of them. I'm like, whoa, like there must be something I'm missing here. Where's all the content in highsec I'm missing out on? And hey, then I learned about this anti-crime and anti-ganking and catching, and hey, it was a blast to learn that, even as like I guess semi-vet or an experienced player at that point, learning that there's still new things to learn. And then eventually moving on to this low sec area, which has also taught a lot in terms of like how to play the game and what content is. Like I think I switched it from like I want to make money in Eve to, and nullsec was that place, to now I just want to find content, and by content I mean PvP. So that became more important to me. So that's kind of a very short abbreviation what I've done.
Awesome. And I noticed when you joined New Eden Police Force, like at least for myself, when I also had met you guys and started to fleet up with you in that, you were usually the FC, if not Fire Venom. And what made you get into the role of being an FC for this corporation or in general?
This is a good one. So yeah, I think I've always, even in my time in nullsec, you went on big fleets, and I was a logic pilot, and I always thought, hey, that's cool. I'm part of a big group and flying big fleets. But I always thought, hey, maybe I should run some fleets at some point in my Eve life, even in nullsec. But that never really happened in nullsec. You kind of, and I didn't feel confident, I guess. Those were like big alliances, so like FCing those is like different.
Oh yeah.
But then I thought, hey, I want to do some smaller stuff. Small gang, I guess, is what we fly. And I joined this corp, and I thought, hey, this is a rather small group. In a rather, and like I guess also moving towards lowsec, like in a pretty what I put this, an environment where smaller groups can thrive. So like there's no there's not that often capitals being dropped on people, or like fighting 50 dudes. It's fighting other small groups. And I thought, hey, this is a place I want to try to FC. And then I was contemplating doing it, and then I told Fire, hey, I would love to do some stuff for the corp, like content
I remember that.
providing wise, when I feel ready. And he said, yeah, sure, that'd be awesome. Sorry, I have birds in the background. And then one day Fire organized a fleet like he did, and some of us did in the corp. And then he said, well, Abby, like he gathered all of us, gave us ships. He's like, okay, well, Abby, now the fleet is ready. Everything is yours, take over. Like everyone has a ship ready to go. Take us. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then that's it. You get me out of my comfort seat, I guess. But yeah, that's how it happened. And then now I FC like fleets weekly, multiple times a week, and for the corp, and also in the militia, I guess as well occasionally. So it's
Awesome. I like to hear that. Yeah, and so did you have anyone that taught you how to go about being an FC, or is that something you kind of
oh,
just picked up again from the nullsec experience?
I think some of my style is from nullsec definitely, and some of my how I kind of FC. I mean, a lot of it's like being in a lot of fleets is one of the main ones. But then you just get the sense of like, okay, someone has organized something. Like if you join a fleet and they give you some ships,
Yeah.
you know that, oh, if I'm gonna FC, I have to have something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
then actually doing it in this corporation, you start to realize, okay, this is how much shit we have to do. We have to move stuff, have the fit ready, have backup things ready. There's a lot going into it when you're a smaller group.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have like a whole logistics wing. We are like the logistics wing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that part definitely I learned became a realization. So yeah, but style wise, I think nullsec, and then small gang I think is in here in this corp for sure.
Awesome. Good to hear that. And so with you guys as corporation, what is something that you would offer to, say, me if I'm a new guy and I'm coming in? Hey, I'm looking for a faction warfare corporation. I kind of heard your name was going around and I wanted to join. What is something I get out of joining into the corporation? Like, how would you deal with a new pilot that does want to join? What's the process like?
Fire, I'll take this one. Fire, I'll
Yeah,
take this one for sure.
I'll take this. Yeah. Well, the first thing we will do is make sure that what you want to do is something that we can offer, or the other way around, because sometimes new bros don't really know what they want to do, is that what we offer is something that you might seem interested in. That's the first thing. There is no point, as I've seen in many other places, that they sell you the sky and then they give you shit, and that's not the point. The point is that it's a game and you need to enjoy what you do. So the first thing, we'll make sure that what we do, we'll be totally transparent about what we do, and there is something that you like or sound interesting for you. The second thing we will do, we'll make 100% sure that you approach PvP in a pro way from the very basics, meaning that we will teach you in a series of different trainings and guides and videos that we have, interactive videos that we have. We'll make sure in very few minutes that you learn the things that many people struggle for many years with, which is exactly that where to position your models, left hand chains, when does my ship actually react, all this kind of stuff that people might struggle for a long time, like becoming very fast at your piloting
Mm-hmm.
and very fast at your responses. That's uh, that's the like the second thing that we'll make sure of. And shortly after, it doesn't take more than a couple of days training. Then after that, you're welcome to join each and every single fleet that we do and provide a lot of content. So we show how to make ISK in factional warfare for new bros until they learn a little bit more how to fight, and especially in solo PvP that we teach that as well. Until then, we teach them how to ninja plex like masters, so they don't die very much, and then they make a lot of ISK. We have buyback programs, and then they can translate their LP for ISK, and we offer the ships. If people don't have ISK, we give the ships for free. 99.9% of the people don't want to leave. So as soon as they learn from us how to make the ISK, they start buying the ships. And it's the chain that runs by itself, basically. I mean, we help the people, and the people play the game with us, and we have a nice group who is actually good at what they do, because we focus a lot on the teaching, because that will give the sense of success And there's nothing better than feeling like that, like, for new bros at least. I remember back in the day that, fuck, I did that right. I'm in the kill, I'm in the kill mail,
Yeah.
and a guy that can do this after 3 days in the game is a very nice feeling for them. So that's what you can expect. Nice people. Nobody's gonna tell you you're a noob. A lot of patience on a good day. No, I'm just kidding. But a lot of patience, and yeah, and that's what you can expect.
And I personally have joined you guys' fleet, so I personally could speak when I first met you guys. And I joined 2 classes already for Ninjaplexing. I've joined PvP kiting. I've joined just different types of styles of the interactions with faction warfare with you guys, and I thought it was actually very thorough. And to the point where I've actually met a lot of the pilots that are here with you guys today, or well, in the corporation, I should say today, that I've even recently flown with, like Ren, when you guys are not around, of course, because they're active, and they definitely seem like they have a great sense of knowledge. We have one guy named Joel that I constantly fly around and see in Faction Warfare Space, and he's I was in a fleet with him yesterday actually, as he was the FC, and it does show the training that you guys do is very effective. So I do have to say that's amazing that you guys are able to provide that kind of content to new players and or general just people who'd never done PvP before. So and you taught me how to kite properly and how to slingshot and ninjaplex as well.
Yeah.
So and I'm only about a couple months into the faction warfare stuff. But wanted to go into as well, actually, 2 things is um, how many is there like a limit for the corporation when it comes to the amount of people that can join, or is it not something where you guys have too much issue with like an X amount of numbers being in there? Like what is the proper not proper, but like what is like your reasonable size you would want for this corporation, and would you want to go further or not?
Do you want me to take that, Abby, or?
I mean, we can, I guess, both. But yeah, sure, go. Like it's a broad question.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, there is no limit as far as we never get to where members become numbers. The more
Mm-hmm.
organized and the more chain alike you do things, the more people you can train properly. But we don't want to reach a number where people get lost into nothingness and we
Hmm.
cannot, grasp all of them and hold them, all of them. It's not that we have to babysit, but we don't want to become like those gigantic spam corporations. We never spam anyone on any joining method at all.
Yeah.
Um, but the size is as far as we can teach each and every individual in a proper way that we can manage to do that. Then it's up to them, of course, if they want to be a part of the learning or not. Uh, but usually the people that are not a part of the learning process, they don't stay, not even in Eve, for very long, because they start realizing that everybody else can do things that they cannot, but these simply because they didn't want to follow the training system. And then that is not on us. We can show the door, but it's them that have to go through it
Mm-hmm.
on their own, if you know what I mean. But no
Definitely, yeah.
limit for my point of view. As far as we can manage to teach them properly and to make sure that they enjoy the game, there's no limit to the numbers for me.
Awesome.
No, and I mean, I agree. Like we're a small gang, medium group, I guess. And I mean, if we ever grew to a point where we're like huge blobs, like I don't know, would we be the same? Who knows? But definitely, like I mean, a healthy number that's the new players can fly together, and veteran players can show the new players, plus all the teaching we do. Then you have a nice balance between experience and new blood, so to speak, and to a point where we have a good group and we have a pretty solid, I guess, core. I guess I can say
Mm.
that's really reliable. But we're pretty small, I would say, but reliable.
Okay, good. Yeah, I honestly would have to say I agree with that. Like I would never want to join a corporation that I become a number more than I'd rather
Hmm.
be somebody who's a part of something like a community that's as nice and tight knit and can honestly
Yeah,
be,
definitely.
have conversations with you guys on a regular, things like that. So going into faction warfare as a corporation now and joining the Kaldari state, was that something um, like as a group within you and Abby, and I'm not sure if there's like other leaderships that are also in this conversation, but Was there anybody in this corporation that said, you know, I want to fight for the Kaldari state over like the Federation or the Imperial or the Republic? Like, is there like how did that decision come about that Kaldari was the guy to go to?
I mean, I think I briefly touched on it. Like we lived in Jeddah before, so I think Caldari was just a fit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have one. I mean, we have one member who I think really wants to be Minmatar. In all honesty, but I think it's just I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Fire can take it like content. I guess there's a lot of
Yeah, but it came.
Camille.
I believe. Yeah, I believe it came because we were in Jeddah. Our main operations was in Jeddah because a lot of the criminals were reshipping there. There was a lot of content from there. A lot of the ganking groups were not far from Jeddah, operating Isanimo and whatnot. And that just said, "Oh, okay. If we are to do this and suddenly get new ships and buy new ships, and we are not Kaldari, we could." Maybe get some issues in getting at least new bros to maybe reshape or us getting stuff unless we use, and it just felt more comfortable to stay in the militia that had access to Jita. So that's how I recall at least that happened.
Okay, sweet. And so how often would you say you guys, maybe not even as like a fleet group, but like in general, like with your members, like how often do you guys see yourself being productive in faction warfare? Is that something that you're having struggling with certain people that are not really participating, or do you find people that are joining or even been around for a while? Like, are you guys very active in faction warfare as a whole group?
You can go ahead, Abby.
Yeah. I guess when it comes to the new players, it's as Fire said, like if a player wants to be active and we try to, do. If we don't do organized lectures or fleets, it's like daily stuff, like going out plexing, going as a group, uh, taking part and providing content for not only us but the militia and alliance. Like, I feel like we definitely make a difference. We have been like trying to focus systems and flip them and like plex a lot. So, yes, definitely being productive. I think we are, and at the same time teaching players because being productive in faction warfare means plexing, which means LP, which means ISK. So this also ties into the whole teaching players how to make a living, I guess, in Eve and also in learning PvP. So I think we're productive in multiple ways at our level at least. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, I
Yeah,
personally see it as well.
definitely.
Yeah, I see it as well personally. Like, guys, if anybody is here watching it and they are trying to join a corporation, this is something, as you heard, these guys are very focused on trying to get people to understand faction warfare and understand PvP and even just ninja plexing, making your ISK. And I see them quite often. Their members are all flying around the faction warfare space. So with that also being said, like in a fleet, or not in a fleet, sorry, but in the corporation with the members, is this something that again, maybe I'm a new guy, jumps in your corporation, and I've taken some of the classes already in that. What is the speed like when it comes to advancing into the corporation? Is there any kind of advancements, and yeah, what's that speed like?
Uh, well, yes, there definitely is. I mean, part of the being a part of something and feeling or getting the identity is we have a series of ranks. In the old times, before we joined factional warfare, they were far more complex, but now they're very simple. I mean, people enter as a cadet, and after a month that they are fairly active within the corporation and have gone through several different trainings, so they have a good background, a good basic of understanding of the basics, then they become cadet first class. And after a while, when they got some other training and been within the corp more or less active, there's no obligation in the corporation. But both me and Abby, we can clearly see who plays once every 2 weeks and who is around 2 to 3 times a week. So the more active you are, the faster you'll get promoted to officer, and then at the very end it's a sergeant. So sergeants are basically, you only become a sergeant if you're a content provider. We we are doing this a lot for the community. So if you want to be or have more of a saying or have more of an insight in what's going on in the corporation, then you need to become a sergeant. And to become a sergeant, then you are willing to provide content for the rest of the corporation. corporation. So it will go like cadet when people come in, it goes to cadet first class when they have like the basic training, and after about a couple of months, a month and a half, when they show that more or less are still active in the game, they enjoy it, they stay, they part of it, then they can become officers. There's some rewards, some outfits for it. So it's just part of being feeling that you're a part of something, that you're progressing. And this progression has a lot to do with how much we've taught you, how much we know that you know, and how active you are, of course. So that's what basically works.
Awesome, good to hear that. And in faction warfare space for the Caldari state, is this something that you guys would rather focus on than like anything specific, or is it as a whole in faction warfare like plexing, PvP, anything strategic wise, like as well taking specific systems or focusing on a specific area? Is that something you guys are doing in this corporation, or is it more like a spread out kind of objective, like we'll whatever we need here, we'll bring our guys over here, or like what is that focus like in faction warfare for you guys?
I mean, we've done a bit of both. I mean, we usually try to go where the content is, and in our time zone. I mean, we're mainly a European time zone, but not only. So I guess sometimes it's based on that. Where can we get fights? We kind of base around the southern. Is it southern? Yes, southern part of the war zone. So usually it's like ends up somewhere around there. But of course, we've tried to focus on more strategic objectives with the militia. Like, should we try to focus on a single system to flip it? We'll do that for a week or two and see how it goes. Or we do it, which is fun. But then once you've done that a few times, you're like, okay, now we want to go back and just look for content. So I would say it definitely changes depending on what we want to do. Um, if there's anything missing, I think that was also part of the question. I'm not sure. I mean, just more of it. I mean, faction warfare is pretty booming right now. I feel like there's plenty of opportunity to hunt and catch and do, like, I guess, plexing as well. But yeah, I don't know. For CCP, I would say, I mean, I guess it's like, hey, not that we're a PvE corporation, but I feel like the quote unquote PvE activities in faction warfare, I'm talking like rendezvous sites, depots, those things. They're, you have to kill NPCs, so it's technically PvP. They're a bit. I mean, I wish they were a bit more fleshed out or a bit more engaging, because it's fun to teach people that part. But then once you've learned like those sites, they don't change, or they're never different.
Right.
So like once you've learned, teach people that, and they're important as well. So
Yeah.
so it's not something you want to be like, oh, here's how you do this, and never do it again. No, this is something we need to do, and it helps the war effort. But like if you like, it is just a single site or two. So I wish there was more fleshing out of that part, so you could have people who become really good, like not only in PvP, like a hybrid kind of.
Okay.
That would be cool, really cool if that was in the game. Maybe soon. Who knows?
Awesome.
I'm not sure if that answered the
No,
question.
it
But
did. It definitely did, mate. So another one I had to ask is obviously now in Faction Warfare we're dealing with the new Havoc expansion. We've got the pirates from the Garissa side here from the Caldari state. Is that something you guys are also teaching your new pilots, and also maybe even the current pilots there about the Havoc update? Is there any kind of like training about that, or any kind of coverage on that? And do you guys even focus as a corporation to kind of go down, like for instance now we have it down here in Okasui, whatever. Do you guys also try to get content down there with Havoc, or is that something you guys try to avoid at all costs? Like, what is that perspective when it comes to Havoc?
Well, I will say that with the Havoc expansion, what it did for us is give us a lot of identity, a boost on the identity, because suddenly the Havoc expansion was suddenly not only faction versus faction, but a little bit more good versus evil, because the pirates are coming into, like the bad guys of the movie, and there's much more room for us on the good side, on the good guys in the movie, and we are on the planning on see precisely how we approach that, and we're developing the operations. We already have had a couple for trying out how the content really is, but we're definitely going to be focusing on that more. Now, it hasn't affected us, or at least our side, as much yet, but it definitely will. The Caldari has been a kind of lucky until this moment with that. But by the time it's going to affect us and it's going to punch us right in the face, we are going to be ready to take that on. We already have the sergeants or the drill sergeants that are going to take the new bros into trying that content, and everything's getting prepared for when things, or let's say that when the shit is going to hit the fan, because we'll be ready to take it on.
Yeah, I think I mean, yes, definitely. We have been preparing a little bit before Havoc, like to be the, as Fire said, like if they're bad guys, then we are the good guys. The suppressors. We talked about like pirates. We're fighting pirates in high sec before, gankers. This is basically that. Now, as Fire said, like in terms of game mechanics, it's more yes. When we go there, but this has not been, I guess, as structured. We'll explain like, hey, this is how these sites work, or this system is like this because of this. But as Fire said, like at the moment, with the current two Garista FOBs have been very, I mean, favorably placed for the Kaldari and not so favorably placed for the Galente,
Yeah.
of the randomness of them, the semi-randomness, meaning that the need for some serious suppression, as in like if we don't suppress the system, we're gonna lose it, hasn't really happened yet. I mean, a little bit, but I mean, for the Gal it has, but not for Cal. So I think yes, that's what Fire means. Like if a fob threatens more strategic areas, I would say, I think it's gonna be way more important. And I mean, I would love to focus more on it because it's definitely something that could be fun. It's again more content, I guess, in the Warzone, and we can be a part of that. But I think yeah, like if it would hit certain areas, we would definitely. I would take more fleets more regularly, definitely. But yeah, the first FOB. So we're only like what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? No,
Yeah, coming
into
on
Mhm.
to I think the
it,
second,
it,
maybe third week for sure.
it hasn't been out that long, so like it's pretty new, I guess, as well. How and I think I saw the last what's it called, scope video from CCP. They hinted at like a new site coming even for the like a battlefield equivalent for these systems, right? So
Okay.
we'll see what the future holds. Maybe it's more important to take those even for us suppressors. So
So as again, like maybe I'm a new guy into factual warfare and stuff, and we talk about Havoc, and we see like for example on my stream here, we're looking at some of the current systems that are corrupted and things like that. Um,
mhm.
do you feel like, or do you have any idea about when, let's say, for this example in this situation, I just had it here a second ago, high sec, right? So Samanuni is one of the high sec gates that actually connected to Athenon as of recently. They finally made a connection. Um,
Yeah,
in this thing, it says it's been corrupted at stage 4 at the moment. Um, is that something that means right now there could be bubbles in high sec in this gate?
uh, right now, no. Uh, at this very moment, there couldn't be bubbles there, and later on, I guess no, you're actually right. This is a high sec system. There will never be able to be bubbles in this system, from my understanding of the corruption mechanics.
Okay.
However,
No,
yeah,
there will go into low sec. Yeah, but
yeah,
I,
Losa, yeah.
Okay.
exactly. Sorry. I believe that actually the high secs can get some mechanics. They will inherit low sec mechanics
Yeah.
when they get corrupted, and the low sec will inherit some of the null mechanics. It's not that the high sec will inherit, like for example, null mechanics like the bubbles.
Crit.
There will be no bubbles in high sec.
Okay. I was
But there,
confused about how that all worked, so I'm glad to hear that.
it is but there will be like other consequences. Like there won't be any gate guns, I believe, and or there
Right.
won't be any Concord. That's for sure. So for people who
Exactly.
are like, you could gate camp in this high sec system pretty well if it reaches level 5. I think you can maybe art do it depending on the corruption.
Yeah, I believe you probably will almost be able to consider a high sec with a very high level of corruption as a low sec.
Yeah.
Okay. And for another question about the Havoc and all this corruption, this is, let's say this has been corrupted now, and some of these systems are fully corrupted. Does that stay the same way, or does that actually like does it go like, say the fob, it moves again? Does that mean all these systems are back to normal?
Yes, from my understanding, I believe if you can look at the one before this, I think Renareel. I don't think those systems that were caught before. I'm trying to find
Oh my
Renareel on the
gosh.
map. Are they there?
I
Uh,
don't
but,
think so.
but I believe after. I'm not sure if it's like 4. I'm not sure how long. I know that number I don't have in my head, but
No.
the effect of the being a high sec becoming a low sec or a low sec becoming a null sec only is temporarily. So they will disappear. It's not like it's now forever going to be able to be bubbles there. I think CCP kind of learned their lesson on permanent system changes with the Triglavian expansion. That like if players wants to mess up area of space or mess up, but they're change it permanently. They're gonna try to change it permanently, and here they have this kind of hybrid, right? Where, oh yeah, you're looking at Kadama.
Yeah, it's
Oh well,
just looking
the
towards that system now, kind of in the betweens, I guess.
but yeah, no, it won't be permanent. But I don't know the number how long it's gonna last.
Okay, that's very interesting. I almost thought for some reason once they got corrupted there and whatever, and they weren't suppressed, that it was going to continue just having that corruption until somebody, suppressed it again. But it just goes away, I guess, and that's just temporary, like you're saying. So that's pretty interesting to know. So then I guess in a way, like, what is the purpose of having these corruptions and these systems if it just disappears after it's gone? Like, I'm still trying to understand that with Havoc.
From I can only really reiterate what CCP is saying, and then how we play it is one way. But it's if faction warfare is ever continuous warfare between two sides, and it shifts and moves, no one can really win. In this kind of pirate war, the war zone moves and one side can win. The pirates can get to the max level and finish it, or the suppressors can suppress, I think it's 7 systems, and like stop it. And whichever side does that gets loyalty point rewards and other rewards essentially. So
Ah,
there is obviously again purpose to doing it, to taking part. And for us in faction warfare, the biggest one is, I guess, that when if the pirates corrupt the system, the where it starts, that system becomes vulnerable at the end. So it's a potential shift in the actual faction warfare, depending on where this is and how much both sides, I guess, care about the system.
okay.
So I guess pirates can kind of and suppressors can play kind of different sides in a way with how it works right now.
Got you. And
But
yeah, go ahead.
no, but like it's definitely interesting. We've only had it for a few weeks, and we've been seeing multiple. Like, I mean, there's a lot of pirates in these areas, and I think especially the Angel one is like a huge influx of pirates. So it's definitely crazy. And but yeah, like I think we need to dip our toes more into suppression to see how it is, because I feel like we can do a lot of good there.
Oh,
So
great.
definitely it's another hot zone, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see that pop kind of like enter into like we saw it at Renril, because that was for like the way I look at it, it's next door to Emilia, alternate, Oisix. So it felt like it was more content there, and it
It,
felt more active
oh
in
yeah,
faction warfare space compared to where it's at now. Like now it just feels like you're saying like how convenient it's down here. Nobody cares about this.
it, it's like, I mean, it is actually interesting that you said that Samanuni is now Losec, basically, because I
Hmm.
mean, personally, we don't take the gate from Samanuni to Athenoon that much, but I could definitely see, if Athenoon in that area was more of a hotspot right now, people would want to take that gate, and if that gate then now is constantly camped in that new Losec in Highsec in Samanuni, that would be interesting, right? But I don't know. I don't know how random this fob system is. I feel like if they want to shake things up really crazy, they could land like, imagine if a FOB pirate thing landed in Hydalis, or
Right.
like Nagamanen, or Tama even would be cool, right? Imagine
Oh
making that a
yeah.
bubbleable system, or yeah, like definitely other choke points where it could mess things up.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a little bit more entertaining, I think, for the faction warfare space, because, like I said, I personally You know, I don't hear anybody ever like in our discords anything talking about like, oh yeah, let's Prism and all
Eco
that. Oh wow, you know.
and like Ikosoki or whatever that system is called. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like Seminuni, like for anybody who's new to faction warfare, like before we, the very rare time we would use Seminuni to come to Athenon, and then kind of do like a little backdoor type of thing. But even now, like, and since it's been around, since we've opened it, I reckon we don't have many people that even bother to use it. We have the shipcaster here in Onaman, and that seems to be very well used through Netamilia, Alternate, and EHA at the moment. So I feel like a lot of people, this is really not as effective to us in Caldari personally.
I think, like, let me look at Onamon, for example. Like, Onamon could, yeah, exactly. Like, Onamon could get corrupted because that's where the shipcaster is, right? It's right above there.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, so that would be a bit stressful, but I don't know. I think CCP needs to play. Sorry, my dog. CCP needs to play this kind of balancing act, right? Like, if all the pirate FOBs landed only, let's say, in front lines, it would be crazy, right?
Yeah.
It would be crazy. But at the same time, they're now there's two wars, kind of, right? And we faction warfare players care about our war, and the other war is affecting us, but it's not really the main focus, right? So I think there could be a lot of upset if the things only targeted front lines. At the same time, now it's targeting some kind of backwater system that no one really cares about. So I don't know. Maybe they could tweak the balance on how random this thing is. Maybe someone in CCP should, I don't know, look at the map or something. I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough because
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they just put an R&D command to that, and let's see whatever it appears, So
exactly, except for the first one. The first one, I really thought it was a great spot. It
cool.
made like a lot of content happen, a lot of gate camping. Just a crazy amount of stuff happening in that week.
It was hard to go towards that area because there was so much. Not only pirates, but the other Galante and like us. And it was a tough fight for the gals, I guess. They had to put a lot of muscle in there.
That's right, right in the backyard.
Pirates also did. Yeah.
Literally.
So like, I mean, that could happen to us. That's what Fire said, right? If it happened, I don't know. Try to think of a system like if it happened in Enlaluri or Nen or Hikoken would be awful. That would cut off like half the war zone.
Yeah, that would be messed up if it was
imagine Hikoken being bubbled. That would be horrible.
Yeah, no, that would be terrible.
Ooh. So there definitely are worse places it could be. We'll see the next one, I guess. Or if this, as you said, this one there, Ikosoki, if it spreads and corrupts the systems around there to the shipcaster. But at the moment, I haven't heard, as you said, anyone screaming or like, "Oh my God, let's go to Prism."
Yeah, nobody cares about that. I had to go on here to next question is the we're looking at the battle of the war zone, I should say, and I'm sure yourself was paying attention a few days here now. We had both Alternate and Oisix at 90%, and the Galante have been constantly pushing, to the point now where, like, yesterday, this alternate was at almost 90, it was at like 80 something. We got all the way back to 66%. Oi6 was at 90 last night when I came on. We're back at 78%. These guys are plexing like crazy. Is this something that you feel like more passionate about when it comes to the Warzone and things specifically with, like, obviously with alternate and Oi6? Like, is that something you guys would love to see flip the system? And if so, is this something also where you would like to see more of the militia focus fire on these areas? Or is it kind of like demotivating after seeing like the 90% drop all the way to 60? And, like, is there anything that you guys feel you can counter or want to counter for that?
I mean, it's a tough question. Yeah, I mean, I've been around this area. Like, first of all, I mean, some of these alternate and Oisix have been front lines for quite a while. I mean, then Amelia has been pushed. It was flipped once, then we flipped it back. Some of these areas have been in constant front lines almost. And I feel like this is kind of where these two stalemates have been for a while. Be it that it gets to 90% and then they push back, or they have to push back, I guess. If we're closing in on 90, then they have to respond. And then we also have, as you said, the southern warfront with Hydalis and Aboon, where we were a bit active earlier, and now we have a battlefield in Fleet.
Yes.
Like, I think, I mean, there are different groups in faction warfare, and different groups focus on different areas. I mean, definitely Alternate and Oisix and Vlilarir, I can't pronounce it, is a tough fight. I guess Sedition is that's their turf.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough fight, but at the same time, you know, we're pushing it. I mean, this area has been turned green and blue around Aldernett and Oisix multiple times, and then I mean, I guess Hydalis has also turned blue. I think when we joined faction warfare, I think Hydalis got flipped,
Yeah.
and a lot of these systems were blue.
That's
Like
right.
I think
It
early
was.
on,
Yeah.
we were pretty excited about that, but back then we didn't really understand the stakes. When we were like, oh yeah, Hydalis, that sounds important.
Yeah.
It's a huge choke point for Gal, and then like, oh, we took it and people were happy, and then it slowly shifted back. But that's kind of, you know,
Yeah. It's the war zone.
the faction warfare.
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean that's where the concept comes from, is the pushing and
Mm-hmm.
pulling of the different systems. And suddenly, I mean, most of the times it's been a Boon or in a Sycan in the south, Hydalis, that
Mm-hmm.
has become like main target systems. And sometimes we hold it, sometimes they hold it, but there's where the content comes from the pushing and pulling,
Mm-hmm.
the strategic importance, how much strategic importance they have. I mean, some of them have more than others, especially the ones that suddenly start having stations in them. They
Mm-hmm.
can be of a bit more strategic importance, but that suddenly, I don't know, one of the systems flips into Galanti, and we know that in about a week we'll get it back. That is not a big issue, but of course, all this back and forward pushing and pulling is what definitely creates the content. That's the trick and the fun of the factional war.
That's right. Yeah. And
I think,
yeah. Go ahead.
oh,
No.
we can like I think though it would be kind of fun. Like, I mean, I people in our alliance and in the militia have said that like, oh yeah, we have flipped like in the years, and we're not talking just the revamp of faction warfare, we're talking before the revamp of faction warfare. Like Alternate and Vlil, they have been threatened by Cal before. They've, from my understanding, usually been Gal areas, and that's just, you know, how it goes. I would love to see Alternate flipped and Oisix flipped because I've never seen them flipped. But as Fahir said, like if that happened, I'm pretty sure we would celebrate a few weeks and then it
Mm-hmm.
would maybe go back to something more normal. But just, you know, to shake up the map a little bit. But as this kind of this faction warfare is, it's just an ongoing war. Like Kaldari owns 67 systems and Galante owns 23, but you know, the frontiers where the content is. Like if it wasn't Aldronet or Nen or Hyde or Aboon, it would be somewhere else and we would go there. Like that's just how it is.
That's right. And within the corporation, when you guys are doing faction warfare content, do you find you guys are more focused with like just frigate stuff, decis, cruisers? Like, what's your kind of class when it comes to fleets? Is there like a line that you guys won't cross over because it's just, it's too much?
You can take this
But,
fire and you have the reason as well.
yeah, I think that it depends on the FC. I will not say as a corporation we do this and that. As a corporation, we do
Mm-hmm.
what's necessary. But myself, I love the close range blaster style,
Mm.
though we are Kaldari. But the ship types, it depends on the fleet that you want to take out and who you want to fight, what you're looking for.
Right.
I love the blaster style. I love to go actually in small frigates. I love to go in decis. I feel that cruisers for blaster, ugh, they're a little bit too slow for my taste. For my taste, we're talking Tech One, not faction.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going faction, that would be another story. But I'm the blaster guy, and Abby knows that in my fleets are blasters. I never really enjoyed, I don't know, missiles, but Abby, in the other hand, he fucking loved missiles. I mean, if he can get his ass in a missile boat, he will. And I don't. It's different. I like to see that people actually have a complexity on the piloting. I'm not saying that flying missiles is easy. That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a little bit of an advantage. You might need to be less uh, efficient on your speed of movement and reaction and response, because you need to be very close to your target to apply any damage. And that does that. I like to see our new bros that, hey, fuck, sorry for the word, but after these 4 guys, after 3 days, all of them, they're in the kill. And they actually been playing EVE Online for 3 days, and they're in the kill and they did it good and they approach fast. And this is why I like it, because I see people's progression and I feel it is a bit more challenging. But definitely the missiles, it can be very hard to fight a missile boat fleet, very hard for a blaster, and there's where I think that Abby exceeds there. That he really is good at that. That's what he enjoys. That's what she flies, and all the way to what we go. I mean, alliance wise, they go all the way to battle cruisers, sometimes battleships. We get there if we are needed. Otherwise, I think we stick to frigates, desis, cruisers, at subs, battle cruisers. Not much else is really needed most of the time in factional warfare. I don't know what you think about that, Abby.
I mean, yeah, factional warfare definitely has taught me like that. Like frigates, desis, cruisers, especially cruisers. I mean, is like the middle line of most Eve stuff, right? Like, and then yeah, we focus, like we get new people into frigates, that leads into desis, that leads into cruisers. But any good fleet, even if we're doing cruisers, needs their frigates of different roles, or their other support roles. So not saying that we're saying, oh, we're only doing one, but it gives space for new players to get into stuff that, like, hey, we're doing cruises today, but that's fine if you can't fly it. You can join in this frigate we've prepared that's gonna be effective and help. And when it comes to the missile stuff, I mean, I've started to get into it because yes, I also started out when I was becoming an FC in this corp, like, blasters, 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 and they are really fun and they are really effective, and especially like as a smaller group, when some days you get fewer members, and you're like, okay, let's get into blasters, because at least then we have a lot of damage and can do things even if we're fewer. But when it comes to missiles and like the medium to longer range systems, it gives you more options, right? Like blasters have this. It's a high risk, high reward. Yeah, it's like that. Like, can you secure something? It's dead. Like, there's usually no questions about it. But if you can't, you're screwed, or you're in a disadvantage. So missiles is this kind of, well, it doesn't matter if they're. It's the opposite, I guess. We don't want them close to us. We want them further away from us. But at the same time, it has less damage. So I think it just leads into. I think it's good that we picked Kaldari, because Fire said, okay, blasters. What are like blaster ships, like Galente ships? But Kaldari also has blaster favorable ships. We have Merlins, we have Cormorants, both rail and blaster. Sadly, don't have many. Oh yeah, we have the Moa, I guess. That's a cruiser. Plus, we have the missile ships. So yeah, I think it's fun to mix those two kind of systems. You have the fast-paced brawl blaster style, and you have a longer range kind of control kitey style in missiles. So I think it's great.
So in general, there's not really it's not really like a place to stop, if you will. It's kind of like whatever's needed, like you're saying, and even if it means bringing a bunch of Tristans out, is that something you guys like to do, like a little like kind of a meme fleet, if you will, or do you like it always organized, kind of?
I mean, we organized. We have done sillier fleets before. I think we did a venture fleet once. That didn't go well. That was in nullsec, which I think was my issue when I bought that fleet out. Why did I go to nullsec? But yeah, we do a lot of funny stuff as well. But I think even blasters specifically can be really funny because, again, a lot of players don't expect how much damage blasters can do. So they get surprised, and we kind of capitalize.
Okay.
I think it's.
And
yeah.
if there's any advice you would give to anybody when it comes to the faction warfare space or joining a corporation, what would your response be to that?
Oh,
Advice on what, sorry?
For faction warfare, like joining faction warfare or joining a corporation that's a part of faction warfare, or an alliance group or something like that. Like, what would be your
advice about that? Well, if you don't mind, we'll start with the answer with that. The first thing is that the content that they have is something that might interest you. I mean, as a huge trait, not going into details, if you're a miner or a missioner, don't get into faction warfare with a PvP corp. So make sure that you sort of match what they are going for. That's the first thing. And then being in factional warfare or not, I mean, there's some things that are very, very important when you're joining a corporation. Make sure that they can provide content for your time zone. That's one of the main
That's
things.
definitely important.
That's super important. And then what I mentioned before, that you're not going in thinking that, hey, I'm gonna mine all day and
Mhm.
suddenly they are PvP corp in factional warfare.
Mhm.
That's the main thing. And your time zone. That I will say those two things. After that, see what they offer, ask a little bit, go a little bit deep into what you like to sort of get. It's not about getting stuff; it's an exchange of things. But um, will they train you somehow? Will they, take you out in fleets that are new bro friendly? Do they have any doctrines that actually made for new bros? Are they actually taking care of new bros? Some PvP corps are hardcore. They want people who know how to PvP, and they will give you that's the doctrine that we fly, and you'll better fly it, otherwise you're not coming. Those are very extreme, yeah. But
Mhm.
there's everything, all the range in between. But as a new player, just make sure that, hey, do you guys are gonna show me how to PvP, or do I have to figure that out on my own with YouTube? The different things you want to learn, ask. Use I don't know, if you're a new bro, you want to learn this, I might just as well make my own PR. Sure, come join us. But otherwise, instead of going in the recruitment channel or whatnot, go to the forums and look around there in the forums recruitment channel, or put an advert up of precisely what you're looking for. That's and the time zone that you're looking for, because then you'll have much higher chances to actually find what you're looking for. And that's the point, matching the time zones and what they are doing that you want. Are they actually going to teach you something? Can they help you with ships for starters until you're on your own, until you can pay for them? Are they actually going to show you how to make the ISK, or do you have to figure that yourself out? And those are quite important things, I believe.
I think, I mean, leading on to that, like that's kind of how I, when I jumped to multiple corporations in my early days, I joined a lot of corporations, and they say things like, "Oh yeah, I was European time zone, they were in Null." They say, "Oh, we'll show you everything. We have people on all the time, both EU and US time zone, if that's a generalization." And then you get there, and yeah, maybe the first day they're very helpful and friendly, and then I log on and like, oh wait, most of them were US time, so when I'm actually playing the game, they're like not there. That happened to me a few times. They were nice and friendly, but they're at work. What can they want to help, but they're not available. I would highly recommend for anyone to check out, if you're looking for PvP corporations. Look at their kill board, because they can't lie about, if they say we fly new bro friendly stuff in these times, and you see that they lose or kill things with ships like that in those times, well then hey, they go around and fly at that time. But if they say, hey, no, we're active in the European time zone, and you see their kill board and you see, nah, they've only lost and killed stuff when I'm asleep,
Mhm.
or like late, like in the morning, maybe they don't have as many EU players, or those EU players are, not losing ships, but also not killing any ships in that time zone. You don't know, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But I started to look. That's how I found Discord, right? I started to look at people's kill boards to just say, okay, they're writing one thing or telling me one thing, but what's the truth? Yeah, what content and PvP wise are they doing on a daily, weekly, weekend basis? And it helped a lot to find a group that fits.
Awesome.
So that's my recommendation.
Great. And I don't know if this is important or not, but I guess for me, I just want to, I'm curious. So, when it comes to joining like an alliance stuff, is that something you guys kind of were focused on doing when joining Faction Warfare, is joining an alliance group that would provide, further content for your pilots, and also for Faction Warfare, or is that something that kind of was like a maybe a requirement for your corporation to be in Faction Warfare?
You wanna
Do
go
you want to take?
back
I'll
in the?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
You
fine.
start. You start. You go ahead.
So, no, definitely no. We joined Faction Warfare as a corporation with only intentions of just providing more fun for our players. that was like the main goal and content, like PvP. The whole alliance became relevant later on because we were, I guess, noticed, or when you fly in the war zone, you'll see groups and you interact with other groups, and then eventually, well, the alliance, I think one of the recruiters reached out to us. So it wasn't definitely not a requirement. You can join as a new player. You can join an alliance or a corp as part of an alliance. If I don't think many corporations shy away from new players. I hope. But no, and what the alliance, I mean, it helps us and we help them. I mean, it's just a big group, right? You get access to more fun around the clock. What can I say? So we only basically see benefits of being in the alliance. And yeah, they're a fun group as well.
Okay.
But no requirements, no.
And
Wasn't our goal or anything.
oh, okay. And was this group or this alliance first choice, or was there other choices, and this was a very specific thing why you wanted to join them? Which is the United Caldari Space Command Alliance.
I don't know. They were one of the groups that reached out. What can I say? I think we had some kind of ground rules for us because I don't know, alliances in EVE can be either, I feel like there's two type of alliances, very strict and like expectations from their group member corporations, or they can be very laxed. And we definitely said if we join any group, alliance or whatever, we don't want them to hinder what we do as a corporation. It like in multiple ways, right? We don't want them to say, okay, no, you're not allowed to do this, or you need to fly only what we fly. And I mean, they have stuff they want us to fly. Don't get me wrong, but they say, yeah, but as a group, we can play as our group. And yeah, they were open about that. So I think that really helped. I don't honestly think many of the other alliances in Caldari faction warfare are going to be harsh or anything like that. I'm just saying this was a group that fit. We honestly didn't have any other. We didn't check the other ones out. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
No one came forward.
Okay.
And I think UCSC is one of the biggest alliances in Caldari faction warfare, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, that's always a good merit for them.
Do you find that, like, in the UNSC that they are any like, is there any conflict between the groups that you've ever flown with, or is that something you find like they're all very easy to fly with? There's not really that much issues between you guys, because I know you were saying you don't want to join something where there's like a huge restriction. You can't do what the corporation is intended to be and what you guys have a vision for. So do you find that would you say there's more positives with this group than there are negatives?
I mean, I don't. Yes. There's barely any negatives. I'm not even sure what a negative would be in this scenario.
Well, in your situation, like you said before, like, people have alliances where they want you to be very specific about what you fly or what you're doing, your role in the group.
What I meant by that was like if that was if we were very clear, like, this is how we are, and like we were trying to get an understanding of like what do they offer us and what can we offer them, and if they had said things like you have to have X alts or you have to have pilots on standby in this, like we wouldn't have gone for it, right? We know we're very like, what do you say? I'm not sure. I want to use the right word. Like I want to use the word casual, but chill group. We play EVE to have fun. We to kill people in game, to go around and shoot some stuff. We're not like a nullsec alliance or group. We're not like gonna take over the universe. We're just a chill group that likes to have fun and teach all of new players, because hey, that's also fun.
Hell yeah.
But the alliance was open about that. They said, yeah, that sounds like it fits, and can't say they've showed like what they've said is what has been provided.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's good to hear then, because it's nice to know that kind of information when it comes to alliances, because I personally like, if I don't want to be a part of something that's very like rigid and like, oh, you got to do that. So yeah, it's nice to hear anyways that for again anyone else listening, of course, this is the group here that I'm showing on my screen, the UCSC, who again is, yes, one of the biggest groups alliances within faction warfare for Caldari State. But aside from all this, going back into faction warfare conversation, what would you say are some of the big negatives in faction warfare that you might have to be dealing with on as a corporation being a part of it?
Mm.
Uh, like compared to getting other content
No,
in game.
No, I think content is pretty healthy in faction warfare, in my opinion, especially nowadays. But more like, is there something going on in faction warfare as a corporation when you're out there and you're having fun, or at least trying to have your fun? Is there something preventing you guys, like sometimes going out there and being like, oh, I gotta deal with this again, kind of thing? Like, is there any of those kind of moments when playing, or is it for you guys always just a great time?
Uh,
We.
well, that depends a lot on the personality, I guess, of the individual player. I mean, myself, what I can say that some things sometimes I can say, "Oh, this needs to be done again." It could be the plexing part, because plexing, of course, it involves PvP, but not obligatorily. It's something that you have to be there a certain amount of time, and I'm the kind of player when in the game that I want things to happen now. And in my personal opinion, staying there for 15 minutes or whatever amount of time, in my personal taste, is tedious. Other people, because they gather the LP and which translates to ISK, that is great. In my case, I mean, now I don't bother think that much about ISK anymore after, I don't know, 17 years that I've been playing EVE Online.
Mhm.
Uh, but I don't know, that's one of the things, but I think it's very personal for what people enjoy in the game. Some other people, for example, if I'm FCing and then I want to get a good fight out of, a fleet of Desis or a fleet of frigates that we might have Logi and whatnot, I suddenly find one of the Galantic groups that, because we have like 12 frigates and a couple of Logis, they bring down only God knows what, where there's absolutely no chance of fighting that. And you think, okay, do I really? I mean, I was looking for nice content. We could get a nice fight. Out of the blue, you just come with something that's completely irrelevant to that fight, just to come and kill it, not to have a fight. I mean, it's part of the game. It's nothing wrong about it.
That's right.
But this is one of the other parts that could get me to think, oh, again, instead of coming to something that we could have a good fight of.
Mm.
But that's personal. I probably Abby has other things that he
I mean,
might think are, I don't know.
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
sure if you were certain, but yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I agree. That kind of falls into one thing. Yeah, like there are different groups in faction warfare, and sometimes we might be there with 5 guys, and they're gonna come with 20 guys, right? And that's just Eve, as Fire said.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think there's any way to, like, that's just the game. Like, you can't, if you structure the game too much, like let's say, oh, you're only allowed to be 5 in here, and then
Yeah.
only 5 enemies can come in. You're like, okay, now we're basically playing another game, aren't we?
Right.
Like a 5 versus 5 deathmatch.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be cool as an event or something, but
Right.
not as a main mechanic in the game. But I mean, I think you were kind of maybe inferring to like things like, I mean, we have this, I guess, AWOXers is one of those things,
Yeah, that's definitely a
where
part of faction warfare
uh,
negatives. Mm-hmm.
where I mean, I think we've definitely encountered that some of our members, maybe they're plexing or ninja plexing alone, and they see a friendly militia guy coming into their plex, and they're like thinking, oh, well, now I don't have to, I can stay because it's a friendly, and then that friendly kills them, and they're like, what the hell happened? These scenarios have happened in our corp, like for our members, and especially for the new members, they have like no clue, like how can a guy that's friendly attack me? And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to turn this into a huge discussion
No,
about
no.
AWOXing, but
You
but
educate your
it,
corporation on AWOXs in general, though, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think both the alliance and our corporation have taken steps to like warn about AWOXers, link them when we can find them, set their status to a different status so they show. Uh, so at least that people can be mindful of like, oh, these guys are marked like this
Mm-hmm.
because they potentially could attack you, even if you're friendly. So yeah, it's just something you deal with. Again, another mechanic of Eve where like you couldn't prevent it
Right.
because there needs to be betrayal
Right. Yeah.
and treachery in Eve, even though it's from a friend. This is just
Oh,
sandbox.
yeah. Right. And going on to that part of the negatives. Not that I want to keep talking about negative things, but it's a good shed of light. If, like you said, if you're a new player, you're jumping into a Plex by yourself, and you've been trained how to ninja Plex, or just in general how to play faction warfare within the corporation's like means of teaching, and then you get AWOCs, and that obviously it could be very deterring. But anyways, nothing about AWOCsing now, but like in also the sense of propaganda. Is there propaganda out there that you guys hear about and maybe have a stance on it or anything, or like to talk about what you guys feel on these propagandas? Like, we have a topic on a lot of people, and you already kind of covered it already. You said blobbing is a part of the game. It's not like oh, you can't do this. This is all part of the game. Obviously people would like to see a little bit more, um, I guess a certain way to play, if you will. Not that I feel like that should matter, because again, we're an open sandbox. There's not like a line that tells me, oh, I need to bring only 2 guys. You know what I mean? So, with the propaganda going around saying, Caldari is blobbing, Caldari is headshotting people. And for those that don't know what headshotting is, it just means like there's an FC in that fleet and you take them out as primary over anything else. What do you guys have to say about these propagandas, like the blobbing and the headshotting, or if there's any other propaganda you guys like to touch on?
Well, I will say train better your sergeants so they become FCs. So if you die,
Yeah, so
somebody
they
else
can
can
have a
take over the
second.
fleet.
Yeah, so they
Mm.
have secondary FPs.
Exactly.
That's
But
wild.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying before. That uh, we will like, or it can personally bother you. The negative part is that you go out and then you fly with 10 guys, and suddenly the other guys bring 20. Hey, but that's a personal taste.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the game is. If you can win the advantage over the other fleet by headshotting, what is the problem?
Right.
I
You actually know who the FC is. You're trying to cripple your enemy
Mm-hmm.
as much as possible, and even if you field a similar by choice or by opportunity a similar fleet, then you're going to try to get the advantage somehow. Now let's see how good they are tactically. Have they actually set a secondary target caller?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then they should step up on their tactics and think, hey, if the FC dies, then what? Is the fleet over? No, somebody else takes over. So I think that's, as Abby as well said, it's a part of the game. You
That's right.
cannot set it like a square.
Mm-hmm.
And then
think
I don't know. You maybe have somebody else FCing, and the main FC goes there, and everybody
yeah,
goes for the guy.
and the,
Tank
and then they
yourself,
should and then they should
tank yourself like a maniac.
Mm-hmm.
Like fuck your ship totally, and ultra tank it,
Mm-hmm.
so they can shoot at you, and you're not even fucking FC. I will do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that next time.
think, and I think also, like, I don't know, I don't listen to a lot of those propagandas. Like, I mean, I would say that in some of the battlefields and situations where I've been not as an FC, mainly maybe a member, and I mean, I wouldn't say that the Galente don't also try to headshot the known FCs of the militia as well. I mean, it's just as you say, I guess common. Although I mean, it's not that nice. But as you said, you usually have 1 or 2 or 3 people that could be like, okay, if I die, you're the secondary, or if that guy dies, that's the third anchor, or like it's usually just a tactic, I guess, to prevent that.
That's right.
Unless there's no way, and super tanking, I guess your FC is the way to go. Blobbing, I mean, same thing there. We said like, if a small group is hunting one target and there are only a few, hey, that single target needs to get better at descanning and running away when he sees 5 guys
Yes.
coming. And the same thing,
Exactly.
and the same thing goes. Like if we're 10 and another gal group brings 20, well, okay, then yeah, like if unless it's a scenario where we can fight those 20, it definitely. I mean, then we have to get either reship or get more members. Like
Yep.
it's that situation. Like, or you can try to like. I mean, a lot of times it comes down to SNFC. You think, should we take the fight just to shoot something?
Mm-hmm.
All knowing it might be almost impossible, or should we just automatically now? That's a tough call, but yeah, I think. I mean, there's no real honor. I mean, there sometimes is, but honor in Eve is tough.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get those fairer fights, those are obviously the best. And I guess that's what people strive for. I think I had one engagement this weekend. Or was it like on Friday? I can't remember. No, it was this weekend with with some gal guys, and we were like, what? We were 10, 11, 12, and they were like 15. I can't remember. But that fight went on forever, and no one really won.
Oh wow.
But you know, it was a nice fight. I was like, oh, this that'd be nice. Like more of this. I wish we were a
Yeah,
bit.
this can actually happen too in EVE Online. You know, that's,
Yeah, yes. It. I think people need to like people focus on the negatives, and like I think. I mean, again, there's no standard to set, but
Mhm.
but as you said, I don't know, propaganda about CalMill. I mean, we're the biggest militia, but it also means, you know, that doesn't mean that I mean, how we don't know time zones, right? Like, yeah, biggest militia, but in what time zone, or biggest militia, but
Right.
in what skill point wise, or
Capacity there, yeah.
experience wise, or you know, there's so many factors in Eve
Of
that you
course.
can't like
Yeah, no, it's
factor in
true.
everything.
It's true. There's like there's a lot up from what like statistically looking at the game, and faction warfare like Caldari versus Galante, we've noticed that we have a lot more newer pilots in faction warfare for the Caldari state than
Yep.
we do see in Galante. Not to say that there isn't people in Galante that are new, but there are definitely a lot more in Caldari state, which also, you know, we will have the numbers, let's say, to provide the bigger fleets and that, but at the same time, we don't have the experience of those pilots that are like very into PvP or faction warfare in general. So like, you know, we could have numbers, but that doesn't mean we're very organized. Not that we're not organized, but
exactly.
it could happen,
Yeah,
right? And
that makes a huge difference.
it
Sorry to
does.
interrupt. I mean, that makes a huge difference because you can go out with 10 new bros that have played the game literally 3 weeks
Hmm.
or a month, and 10 of them, and suddenly, I mean, it happened to us not that long ago. I believe it was versus Sedition.
Hmm.
That was it, Sedition. That they have the guys pumped all the way up with, I don't want to say where to, with all sort of implants and expensive ships and whatnot. And I think we were in some desis, and like those 5, 6 new bros, they actually, I mean, ISK wise, we won the battle extremely,
Oh
you
yeah,
know. And we were, remember that, Abby?
I think
You know,
so.
and yeah, and we were actually flying a bunch of new bros with very cheap Tech 1 ships, but they knew what they were doing in the sense of, I know which key to hold down. I know where to spam. I know which direction to move. I know when to turn off my micro drive so I'm a much less smaller target. And this is people that have been playing the game for like 2 weeks, and we won like extremely east-wise, and versus a group that's sedition. If you explode this into a much bigger scale, you know, you could have much less members, but if they are much better at the game than the others that are
Mhm.
older or more numbers, that the numbers don't mean that much, because the Kalari, I don't know exactly the level that the Kalari militia is. I mean, we're doing very good, but having more numbers, unless the big majority know how to primary and know
Yeah,
how to quickly secondary, unless they know that, you can find in a smaller scale, you get a fleet of 25 people. It's over half of them. They don't really follow the primary. Then it doesn't matter if you have 25. You could have 1,000.
That's
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
you're making no
exactly.
difference.
That's very true.
So yeah,
That's very true. And like I think that's kind of what I like about our group, especially when we do our smaller ship stuff in like Tech 1 frigates and stuff. It's like the fact that that was kind of the fun part for me. It's like, okay, we managed to kill some more advanced stuff in just with some new guys and some basic stuff. And here that's kind of my you know what's the you know the small guy that's punching up kind of story in Eve. You know, even if it's just that one fight or you know. That fight we've talked about, like, is that oh yeah, okay, we might have lost a few, but we killed more of value than them. That's one way to measure, I guess, success. But hey, we did it, and we're like new players. Like
Hmm.
that's like I don't know. That to me is more fun than like the other way around, right?
Yeah.
If you're like, oh yeah, we're super pimped out and we could kill a few new bros in basic ships. I'm like, yeah, like I don't know. In my opinion,
That's right. Yeah, I think that's really good that you guys have a mindset of more like just have fun, and you know we're not going to take things too crazy serious unless you know we're trying to capture something very specific. Then obviously we want people to focus on certain things, which is great. Um, and the fact that you guys are teaching new pilots certain different styles within faction warfare is also really good to hear with the group. And you know, there's some people that look at the corporation, and I'm sure if you guys are looking at the stream now, you can kind of see in very fine print there it says, "Friendly fire is active due to our PvP training operations that allows us to practice within any corp without the NPC intervention in high sec." Um, I know a lot of people
Yeah.
look at that and they're like, oh no, this guy's gonna, they're gonna shoot us at random because it's just for fun. But personally, like I said, I've been flying with you guys for quite some time now, and I definitely don't see that kind of, the red flag, like, oh fuck, am I getting shot right now? Moment. I mean, this is only for the corporation members, obviously, not for me because I'm not a part of the corp. But um, like they're saying here in fine print, it is very more so for practice. And we've had situations where I've personally been there and seen you guys doing practice runs with each other and having this option as a turn on. So guys, please don't take that as a red flag. And I know a lot of people will look at that and be like, I don't know. So yeah, these guys are a bunch of nice guys that like to definitely have fun, create content, teach new players. They have a lot of different doctrines that they run fleets with. Very active corporation. Very few in between members with that are there regularly that I personally see a lot in the faction warfare space. If you guys were to shill anything out here, feel free to do that now about the corporation or about anything in general when it has to do with you guys.
Well, I guess we're getting to the end. Thank you very much for the time. It was great, and it was nice to be here. What I will say is enjoy the game. In whatever level you want to enjoy it. Don't do things you're not forced to doing anything in the game. If you enjoy it, play it. If you don't enjoy it, don't play it, or maybe find somewhere else that you can enjoy it. It is a game, and how serious you want to take it is up to you. Nobody has to impose that on you in EVE Online or in any other game for that matter. Um, but yeah, I will say that just enjoy as much as possible. You want to learn PvP, then come join us. So yeah, that's it from my part, and a big thanks for having us.
I appreciate it. Abby, any closing words you'd like to have?
I mean, in terms of I mean, uh, describing our corporation and what we do, I think we've done already talked a lot about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that yeah. I mean, I think even the smallest new player can make a huge difference. Like people say, "Oh, I'm just new. I can't fly the ships that you want in the fleet," or "Oh, I can only fly this basic stuff." But or I'm an alpha. I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm alpha. I can't fly this omega stuff that you guys like guys want." But like, hey, more members in fleet, like for content creators like me, like just having more people to fly with and shoot people with, is just more fun. So it just helps in every situation, even if you can just fly a frigate. That still, it gives time and opportunity to grow and see what a fleet is like and learn. And as we said, like we talked about target switching and something like that, like just learning stuff like that. No skill in the like skill point wise, no skill in the game can teach you like improves. Well, you have to learn to fly as a player, and we teach that stuff, and we do it in a small scale that I know is very, I would say, welcoming. And like, we die, we fight, we kill some stuff, we laugh, and we go again. That's our group basically. And I think the alliance we're in also helps us to offer bigger things, like the bigger fleets, because they do those, and with the alliance we get the numbers possible to do that, or well, we join them as well. But so I think we have a lot to offer in terms of faction warfare PvP.
Great. Well,
That's
I
it.
really appreciate you guys stopping in. And again, guys, make sure if you're interested, all you got to do is look up the corporation New Eden Police Force and apply to join. And obviously, reference me if I do bring you over and I say, hey guys, because I do that sometimes. You'll meet me and I'll say, hey, if they have a
Yeah.
recommendation, I usually like to bring guys over to the New Eden Police Force. And as you know, this is kind of like a role playing game. So that's kind of how the story started with this corporation, where they were trying to be anti-gankers and prevent people from, taking advantage of those players that were getting ganked up a lot. But obviously that they've moved on now into faction warfare and that. But yeah, definitely a great group, and like they said, they're with a great alliance that provides more content for you guys if it means more ships and things like that. I don't think there's an SP level to join the corporation, from my understanding.
No, no, not at all. Not at
No.
all. Not really.
Yeah,
No.
SP just means skill points for anybody new listening to on this game. Skill points are those things that like right here that kind of teach you how to fly a ship in different methods, or not really different methods, but give you better advancement in flying your ships, I should say. But anyways, that's another story. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for coming on. And in the future, I'm sure we'll have you on again for more conversations as maybe in a whole group within Caldari State, because I am planning on another big conversation there about the game. So thanks again, and I hope to see you guys out there, and I'll fly with you soon.
Yep. Thank you
Yeah.
very much, and we'll see you in
Yeah,
Fleet.
thank you.
Take care,
See ya
guys.
in the war zone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Alright, guys, so that was a great conversation. I think for anybody that is looking for other opportunities to shill their corporations out as well, if you're interested, we'll definitely have you guys obviously on the show. So if there's anybody listening and they have a corporation, and it doesn't have to be faction warfare content, it can be anything that you guys are doing in your corporation. You're looking for new members. Here at the Toilet Paper, aka the Milk on Edge, we like to obviously showcase those people, have conversations with them, so that others who are listening could possibly join you guys in your adventures playing EVE Online. But today's episode was just a good focus on faction warfare content with this corporation specifically called New Eden Police Force. Make sure you guys again apply to join if you are interested, even as an alpha player, a new pilot to PvP, and you want to make a lot of ISK, because that's what faction warfare is all about, is getting that ISK. And I feel personally, me being kind of newer to faction warfare, like the last 6 months or so I've been playing it, I have made a ton of ISK, and again, ISK is interstellar credits, which are in-game currencies for those that are not too familiar with EVE. And I personally met these guys flying around, just randomly conversated to them and said, hey, do you mind if I join your fleet, or do you guys want to fleet up? And ever since, I've been constantly seeing them around, flying with them, fleeting up with them, and like I said, even taking classes that they have in the Discord. That's how kind they are, I think, as a group. There's not a lot of corporations out there that will take in random people and teach them some of the stuff that they're training the pilots to learn. In whatever capacity it is that they're learning. So I appreciate them taking me in and training me personally for better FW skills and that, if you will. So it's really fun to be a part of something like that, and to meet people like them. We also have another group that I will be doing an interview with. They're called the Black Phoenix Rising. And of course, like I said, if there's anybody here watching and they have a corporation, and it doesn't have to do with faction warfare, it's just in general, like you have a corporation and you want to be in a conversation with us and shill out the group a little bit more, feel free to definitely hit me up on EVE Online or Discord or any of these types of social medias. You can find my name easily, Milk on Edge, on Google, and probably see a lot of different types of different ways of contacting me, but that's my in-game name I put up there. And my Discord is not like a very active Discord that I would say I'm in there like some community Discords, but you are welcome to the Discord, guys. If you ever did want to reach out to me, that's always an option, or Twitch DMs, things like this. Yeah, they are very welcoming. Fleeting up is a crazy vocab. Yeah, fleeting up is pretty much joining the groups of people, like whatever it is, if it's the corporation specifically, or just 2-3 people, whatever, and you message them and you ask about, I would love to fleet up with you to roam the playfield. And that's something that's really fun about EVE, I feel, as an entirety of the game, is a very team orientated kind of game. You could play it solo, but playing in a team and fleeting up with people, especially if you're new to faction, if you're just an individual like I was, and well, still kind of am, I guess. You get to message people randomly through the message systems, and obviously you could see, like, there's even a militia chat here that you get when you do join faction warfare. I personally, as advice for anybody who does join faction warfare and decides to use this chat, to keep in mind that this is a chat that, in the game of EVE, there are multiple alt accounts that join this game. So, you know, we call it like a spy. So there will 100% be Galante people in this chat that are have a character in Caldari and use that character to take information from the groups of, you know, if it's a corporation's conversations because they say, oh, let me join your fleet, and they claim to be new or whatever. There could be a lot of that. So just keep in mind the militia chat is not a place for actual like conversations when it comes to like, oh, what am I doing? Where am I? What ship I'm flying? Who am I with? Kind of things. You don't want to really bring that information out. Instead, you want to use this maybe to post a kill mail, or if somebody asks for a fitting and you're okay with sharing that fitting, then you can drag your fittings and, you know, put it into the chat and share it with that person. Or like, you know, maybe a player asks about a certain question, like, oh, how do I go about doing faction warfare? You know, you can either tell them, hey, listen, come to a DM with me. I'll sit there like and give you some pointers. And then, you know, you go from there, or you could do it there in the fleet chat, or sorry, in the militia chat as well, because obviously it's just like information that's generalized. It's not very personal or whatever. But you will find a lot of people talk a lot about like different things that, again, you probably, and in my advice, should not be talking about in this specific chat. So I definitely would take that in consideration if you do join as a new person to Faction Warfare and you've never seen this before. This militia chat is not worth talking too much personal stuff. Fleet up with that person, have a conversation with them there. Discord with them, have a conversation there. In-game DM them, have a conversation there. But just don't, again, in my advice, bring personal certain informations in this chat. It's just, it's not worth it. You will lose some ships doing that, and probably be compromised as a fleet. What I want to do now, guys, is I want to end the stream with this specific like video here of us doing the interview and that, and then I'm going to literally repop the stream up instantly to get back into like actual content here and playing in the game Faction Warfare as I was doing, which is my Tristan here that I've been recently flying yesterday and a little bit today. So I'm gonna quickly end the stream here. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me in the conversation with New Eden Police Force. Thank you, New Eden Police Force, as well, for taking the time out to join us. Hopefully we can get more of your members in another conversation, because I know it's good to have just like the guys who are running it, but it's also nice to hear from those that are actually partaking in it. So yeah, we're gonna end the stream with this conversation right there with New Eden Police Force and that kind of thing there. But don't go anywhere, guys. We're literally going to pop the stream right back up and start some PvP, some content, and see what's going on out there in Faction Warfare. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Red. Thanks for joining us, IR, and the few in between here. If I can grab your names, I will, because it's all the way at the top now. We got Obius, you know, if you're still here, thank you for joining us. Dinah, I always fuck that up. I'm sorry. I always say I'm gonna call you D. I always want to try though. You know, I want to try. Thank you for joining us as well, Taylor. Thank you as well for coming into the chat and dropping in and saying hi. So hopefully you guys learned a little bit about Faction Warfare today, and even the group itself. And like I said, all you got to do is come to the EdenCom menu at the top, which my Milcon is kind of covering. But you go into social, you go to corporations. If you're looking for anything very specific, I know I was briefly like scrolling through and doing that in a way without saying anything. So I was trying to show you guys a little bit about that. But yeah, this is kind of like what you would do. You'd go through the filters, you'd select the things that apply to what you're looking for, the amount of players that are on at what time, the amount of people in that corporation, you know, whatever play style you like. And furthermore, like, you know, a corporation's allowing friendly fire, that's in an alliance, skill points that don't need requirement, like things like this. They're all here, guys, and it's under the recruitment tab, so definitely check that out if there is something that you eventually want to get yourself involved with when it comes to different groups. And it's as simple as, once you do click the names, you can literally click that arrow down and look at some of the information that is a part of that corporation, even like some descriptions, some benefits they have, activities, the recruiters, like who's a part of all that. the area they operate in, what they're looking for, again, because obviously we clicked some boxes, the time zones they operate on. Like, this is just all that information you can find here, obviously, and adjust for yourselves. But that's as simple as it is when you're looking for something in a corporation. But if you guys needed any recommendations, like I said, you can contact me, and I can definitely throw some corporations your way. But once more, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. And we're going to go ahead and stop the stream and start it up. So, yeah. GG's. Fly safe, fly spicy. And don't forget to smile, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.